Hey y'all, I wanted to make a quick video, just kind of not as a fun DIY, but out of necessity. If you are someone who needs masks to be out and about, whether that is to run to the grocery store, or if you're working in a facility where you need masks and they don't have enough, which I know is a problem because my husband is running into that right now. So out of necessity, I scoured YouTube and found a video that shows how to make masks that are as good as the N95 masks out of Hepa vacuum filters, like vacuum bag filters. These, you can spread them out. They have an actual pressed seam all the way around. I'll show you how to cut it up and make, like, this is the adult size, and then here is the children's size, and this will fit over your nose. We put a pipe cleaner in here so that you can bend it to fit to your nose. This will seal underneath your chin, and then you've got your two pieces of elastic for behind your head. And they actually fit really well, and I'll insert a picture here of my husband with it on. So I will link another YouTube video down below, and this is where I got the idea from. And she has a pattern there, or you can just draw out your own. This is the adult size, and this part right here you will place on this pressed seam. That way it is completely sealed, and then when we get it all folded out, you can see how it works a little bit better. And then here is the kid size or smaller size. This actually fits me better as a woman with a little bit smaller face than my husband. So here's kind of the difference. It's not a lot smaller, but it is a little bit smaller. Then on her pattern, she also has these two pieces, which shows you, like, for the adult size, you actually use the long side of a piece of paper, which is 11 inches, and on the smaller one, about 10.5 inches, or to this line that she has drawn on there. And like I said, you just print this off on your printer with regular printer paper, and it can be your pattern. I will go ahead and start cutting this up. I have a different Hepa vacuum filter than she did in that video, so I kind of had to make do with what I had, just because I wasn't going to go out to the store, trying to stay home as much as possible. I will speed this up and let you watch me cut this. Okay, so this area right here is like tucked down in there, and we need as much as we can get of this good seam here, and you can use this part as one of your edges, because you're always going to put the sealed edge against this edge right here, because that's going to be the part that sticks, like your duck bill, if you want to call it that. It's going to be the part that sticks out. So we want to get as much of this down in here as we can without tearing any of this like down through here, because we want to be able to use it. So I stuck my finger down in here. See how I'm kind of pushing it out with my finger as much as I can, and kind of folding this back over so that I can get my scissors down in there better. And I could probably find a smaller pair of scissors that might help me. I finally got a tiny little hole. Just be careful when you're cutting. You don't want to cut through this outside part here. In the video that I'm going to link below, she kind of goes through that as well. So I'm going to cut up that seam right there. Same on this other side. Just kind of get as close to that seam as I can without cutting this back side. I've kind of got my scissors in there, and I can just feel kind of with the edge of the scissors where I'm cutting. So see, now I can pull this out, whereas before it was folded in. So now I can use all of this here. So I'm going to put my hand up in here. And like I said, you will just have to see, depending on what style of vacuum bag you had. This is just what we had on hand, because we don't want to go out to the stores. Stick that in there and make a little. I think I can find a better pair of scissors. These just aren't very sharp. I think they're one of my Dollar Tree finds from a while back, and I use them all the time, so they're not very sharp anymore. I always have the hardest time with this other side because it's backwards to me. Okay, so I'm gonna get my scissors in there. And I hope you guys are all staying safe. Like I said, this is why I'm trying to get this video out quickly, so that if any of you need to make masks, whether it's you need to get out and get groceries, or you're trying to keep someone in your family safe if they have to be out in it. So as you can see, now I've got it completely folded out, where before it was just this centerpiece and all of this was tucked in. And just because I know I want to make a kid's one on this end, I'm going to use as much of this as I can. And I kind of improvised on these. The video that I found to make these, she actually got 4 out of her bag. This one I could only get 3, but then I had this part right here that was kind of like extra leftover. So I actually cut up the pieces and fixed them together, and I made another one that was just a little different shape, but it still fit on my face okay. It was more of a child size, but it worked. So, hey, you know, whatever we've got to do to make it work. Okay, I'm just gonna take a pencil here and just draw down through here. You do not want to use any pins for this. Normally you would pin when you're marking on a pattern. You don't want to do that because we don't want any holes besides our stitch marks. We want to keep it as sealed as possible. And hopefully you can see my pencil marks on there. They're right here, all the way across through here. So now I'm just going to take my scissors and cut this out as best you can. Just keep it as flat as possible. Okay, so we've got that. Now we are going to, like I said, get a piece of elastic. Any elastic you've got. This is just what I had on hand, was this, you know, it's about the thickness of my finger or so. And so we're going to do it the length of this piece of paper. And then, because it's thicker, we don't really want it to be that thick, plus this will make our supplies go a lot farther. We're going to cut it down the middle. And you are welcome to leave it this wide if you want. I just didn't have a whole lot of elastic on hand, so I'm trying to make it go as far as possible. Now I've got my 2 pieces of elastic. Now we are going to take a pipe cleaner. This again was just something I had on hand. It could be any color. This is going to be the part that goes across your nose. You can bend it to form to your nose. Now we're over here by the glue gun. You are going to need a glue gun depending on what type of vacuum bag you have. In the video that I watched, the lady, hers had like a plastic lining in there and she had to cut that out. Mine doesn't have that. Mine has, I believe, 4 layers. It's got one that's similar to a coffee filter, and then these 2 here that are kind of like a Tyvek material, and then the actual outside of the bag. What I did on mine is I pulled 2 of the layers back, and I'm going to take and fold my pipe cleaner, Chanel stem, whatever you call yours, in half, and I kind of twisted it just so it stays together a little better. When I was doing the child size one, I actually folded it in thirds just because it's not quite as wide, so I didn't want it going all the way across. So you're going to hold this and kind of get your fingers back out of the way, and you're gonna put a strip of glue. You don't need like a lot. and you're gonna let it cool off for just a minute, just so it doesn't melt anything if yours has the plastic in there. And then you're going to try to center it as best you can. And you need to leave a little bit of an area because you're gonna stitch down through here with the sewing machine. I'm gonna push that down. And then since mine doesn't have that plastic, just so it holds together a little better, I add another little strip of glue. Like I said, you don't have to put a lot. And then I make sure that the outside edge here lines up because like I said, I'm gonna be stitching it. And you just kind of push all of that together. Once that cools off, we're going to go over by the sewing machine. Something else I might add is before I started any of this, I took disinfectant wipes and I wiped down my table, I wiped down my sewing machine, I wiped down my scissors, everything that I was going to be using, because you want this as clean and sanitary as possible. I made sure to wash my hands and sanitize my hands. Once you get this made, do not try it on if it's for someone else, because you don't want any of your germs, just in case you were to be carrying corona and you just are not symptomatic. You don't want your germs inside of this if someone else is going to be wearing it. So now we're going to start our stitching. Right here is where we put the pipe cleaner. We're going to start, kind of line up your edges, put your presser foot down, and I will speed this up so you guys don't have to listen to the sewing machine. Trim your strings. I try to trim them as I go along, and that way I don't have a whole lot to trim at the end. I went ahead and put 2 lines of stitching down through there because on my first line it got really close to the edge and you want to make sure it is all sealed off. So you're going to do the same thing on this side. Go ahead and trim your threads. Okay, so now you've got both of your sides sewn. So you're going to take your elastic and you're going to line it up right here, right where you just sewed that seam, and you're going to run a stitch right here. And I'm sorry for the lack of my cute nails. Usually I have cute nails and it's just not been a priority right now. And I make sure to stitch and then back stitch a couple of times just so it really gets it locked in there. So now you're gonna pull it, and of course it's going to be longer than your mask. You're just going to scoot it up so it'll be loose like this, and that's what you want because that's going to go around the back of your head. Okay, so now you're going to keep this part out. So where you sewed, these are going to touch together. So both of where your elastics are going to be together. So at this point you should have this and those matched up, and now you're going to stitch along here 2 times. So you're going to go down through there once, and then you're going to flip it over and sew down through there just a little bit closer to the edge so that you will have 2 stitch lines. So I usually start up here where it's already sealed together, and I always stitch a couple of stitches and then back stitch just so it's made sure that those threads are locked in place. And I'm gonna stitch it out. Anytime if it gets bunched up, just lift your presser foot with the needle still in there and just move it around a little bit. And kind of go real slow and turn as you go. Like I said, stitch and back stitch a few times just because this is where all of the pressure is going to be put on where that elastic is. Go ahead and trim your threads, and then I flip it over and I go right back in, just right next to where you put that last stitch line. And just follow it as closely as you can, just like I said, so that you've got 2 stitch lines right there close to each other. Give you a little bit more protection. Trim your threads. Okay, now we're gonna switch to the other side. Meet up where your elastics are. And just as an easy guide, I just use the edge of my presser foot and I follow the presser foot all the way down through here, and it gives me a pretty straight line. You don't have to be an excellent seamstress to be able to make some of these, even if you're just going to donate them. Right now, while everybody's at home, now's a great time to be doing some volunteer work. Our doctors, nurses, and even like janitorial at hospitals, all of those people need safety gear, and a lot of those places are running low on these. So those people that have to use this kind of stuff will be so thankful if you were to come in and donate stuff like this. And like I said, a lot of this stuff would be stuff you would have laying around the house that you can just whip up a few, even if it's just a few. I mean, a few will help. Would you trim those threads? And where you cut the elastic, there will be some little pieces that's not going to matter. Those will come out and the rest of the elastic will still hold it. And that's it. You're done. You can fold this over your nose. And like I said, I'll insert the picture of what it looks like on. And this will help keep somebody safe. I hope you guys enjoyed. Stay safe out there. Bye.